Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Shweta and I'm currently studying and working in US. So for those of you who are new on my channel, I make videos about studying abroad. I share my life as a research student and I also make videos about productivity and tech. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you guys few skills which you must have if you're planning to study abroad. But before we start, I want to let you guys know that I'll not be talking about academic skills, but rather about social and interpersonal skills. Also, the skills which I'll be mentioning is not something you need only if you're a study abroad aspirant. You should work on these skills and try to develop them even if you're not planning to study abroad. But I'm particularly mentioning study abroad because when you move to a new country, you have to start fresh. You are into a new environment. You meet a lot of different people from different culture, different background, and the most important thing is you don't have your support system. So you have to adapt to a lot of things right from the education system, the work environment, climate, and you are more independent now, so you have to be more responsible. So the skills which I share with you guys today, if you try to work on those or develop those, it will make your study abroad experience wholesome. So without a further ado, let's just go ahead and start with the most important skill, that is budgeting. So, when we are planning to study abroad, the most important thing we are always concerned about is funding. We are always looking out for scholarships or fellowships or funding because definitely study abroad is very expensive. But what we tend to do is we most of the time overlook this fact or we focus too much on just funding. And one of the skills which will help you if you're planning to study abroad is budgeting. So whether you are a scholarship student or you're the one who has taken some loan and you're trying to fund your studies on your own, budgeting is a very important skill. So when you are in India, a lot of things are taken care of by your parents or your family members, right from your tuition fees to your hostel fees and a lot of other things, your insurance, health or life insurances. But when you're abroad, you have to take care of all these things by yourself. So you have to pay your rent, you have to pay your utilities bill, you have to take care of your insurance. And if you don't manage your expenses well, then you definitely will land up into a problem. So you will either spend too much or you will end up in a state where you don't have enough money to fund your studies and to manage your daily expenses. So budgeting is something which you should try to learn, and it happens eventually. It's not something like you can prepare for it. So for me, when I moved to Netherlands, I was on full scholarship, and that is the time I started carefully taking into account what are my expenses, what is the most important thing I need right now. I became more aware of how I spend my money. And one of the methods which I liked was the WIN method. So it stands for wants, investments, and needs. So I became more conscious about how I'm spending my money, and that helped me save a lot of money from my scholarship. So this is a whole different detailed video, but if you guys would like to know how I budget and managed my expenses, so you can let me know in the comments below and I'll try to make a video on it. So my point is, try to manage your expenses. Be it anyway, like if you can use a diary or you can use an app to keep a track of your expenses, whatever works best for you or whatever suits your requirements. So the next skill is cooking. Now I know it might sound a bit weird, like why I'm suddenly talking about cooking as a skill, but I think that this is the most underrated skill. So I used to cook every day while I was in the Netherlands, and right now in US here as well, I cook every day, and it not only saves you a lot of money, but you also eat healthy food. So you always cook on like you have fresh food for your lunch and dinner, so that's good. And eventually I started enjoying cooking, and it became relaxing for me. So when I used to have like hectic day and a very busy schedule, when I used to come back home or during the weekends when I used to cook a nice Indian meal, it was really relaxing for me. So coming on to the third skill which you must have is time management. So this is very important. As Indians, let's be honest, we are not really known for our punctuality. So I'm not complaining or I'm not saying that this is a bad thing or something, but it's just that we are really not that punctual. So whenever we tell our friends or someone that we'll be meeting in next, let's say 10 or 15 minutes, we are really not there at that given time. So this is something which you should really work on. Managing your time is very important because in the Netherlands as well as here in US, people really stick to the time and they have a very strict schedule. So if you don't try to blend in and you're not managing your time properly, then you're never going to complete your tasks in time. And one of the things which can help you in managing your time is, again, like having a nice calendar or diary and noting down what are the things you have to do. It really helps. To be very honest, I was not someone who used to use diaries or journals a lot. But since I moved abroad, there are so many things that you have to, like I said, you have to take care of. So I started using a diary and using my Google Calendar. That is the best option or best solution. Use your Google Calendar. You have it right in your phone. Try to keep, like events or reminders which will help you to manage your time efficiently. Before we go on to the next skill, I would like to take a moment and thank Skillshare for kindly sponsoring this video. So I have been using Skillshare for some time now. It's an online learning community where they offer thousands of online classes which you can take and explore new skills and take a step towards exploring your creativity. They have tons of classes you can choose from, like graphic designing, productivity, marketing, and the list goes on. All of the skills which I will mention in this video, there are classes for that on Skillshare which can help you to get started. I recently took class by Thomas Frank on mastering productivity. I personally liked the class and found it useful as it focuses on how to manage multiple tasks, how you can be more organized with some communication tips and tricks. The best thing about Skillshare is you can do the classes in your own time and at your own pace. And Skillshare is constantly launching new classes, plus, there are no ads. The classes will allow you to explore your creativity, enhance your skills, and all of it at an affordable price. The first 1,000 people to click on the link below in my description will get 1 month free trial of Skillshare Premium. So if you're someone who is interested in learning and discovering something new, then definitely check out Skillshare. There are many more skills which you have to take into account, definitely, but these are few which I thought was important. And to give you guys more insights, I spoke to my friend Saloni Verma. So our guest for today is Saloni Verma. Saloni is a biomedical engineer and entrepreneur who is currently working in New York. She also has a YouTube channel called Crazy Medusa and she recently crossed 50,000 subscribers. Also, Saloni completed her education from Harvard Medical School and Cornell University. So let's go ahead and talk to Saloni and know more about her by talking to her. Hi, Saloni.
Hey Shweta, thank you so much for having me on the channel. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, Saloni, let's start with a bit of your introduction and your educational background.
Absolutely. So, I am a biomedical engineer, and like you mentioned, I work in New York. I work in the molecular diagnostics field. My area of expertise is microfluidics. I've studied at Harvard and done my master's at Cornell, but early parts of my undergraduate education were completed in India.
So, you did your master's and bachelor's in biomedical engineering, both?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And how's been the educational difference, for you, like studying in India and then US? How has it been?
Absolutely. So I guess it's been quite a transition and a bit of a learning curve. Obviously, trying to cope up with the different education system in India and the US. They're definitely different in like very big ways. But something that's kind of helped me is kind of to talk to other people and kind of get an understanding of how things work over here. And obviously being an international student, you do have to like put a little more effort in kind of understanding, because these people who've been studying here for their years of their life have done similar things in their high school and stuff, and for us it's relatively new. So doing assignments and being graded on like take-home exams, those were like the first that I had heard of when I came here and started studying. So they were pretty like challenging but a fun experience.
Yeah. And you also started a YouTube channel in 2020, I guess. So tell us more about
Yeah, that's
it.
right.
And first of all, huge congratulations on crossing 50,000 subscribers. It's a huge
Thank you.
milestone and there are definitely more to come.
Absolutely, thank you. That's so kind of you. Yeah, so I did start the YouTube channel in 2020. Originally, the idea was to kind of like provide a little more information about COVID-19, because a lot of the work that I do, I actually make automated COVID-19 testing platforms. So I wanted to bring out right information to people, and from there, people were a little more interested into my background, and my education journey kind of hit the spotlight. I was on Harnoor's channel, and a couple more. But from there, just I guess listening to what people want and kind of putting those videos out there is where the channel has come to. And right now it focuses basically on providing students with study abroad tips and strategies that they could use, and basically just letting them know that they don't need to be perfect or have that 99% to kind of get into Ivy Leagues or even get a good education.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned about Ivy Leagues, so how has been your experience of studying in two Ivy League colleges?
It was, I'm not gonna lie, it was a nightmare.
Okay,
it was
yeah.
so much pressure. I know like a lot of people think once you get in, it's like smooth sailing. That doesn't stop there. I think getting in is like a piece of cake. After that is where the real work begins. I have spent so many countless nights doing assignments till like midnight or like 2 a.m. and working on these group projects. But something I feel like that set that type of education apart from my previous or other type of education that I received was so much more of like application based learning. Every single one of my assignments or my final exams were based on an actual practical experience. So for example, I had this course called Innovation in Biomedical Engineering. The final exam for that course was a take home paper, and we had to write a patent. That was it. That was the exam. You had to make up your own product and submit a patent to the professor. So it gives you a lot of like real life experiences that you can actually take and carry with you. That'll be useful down the line. So
Yeah, but that's intense, like writing a patent and all. That too in I think in your masters, when you're still
Yeah.
trying to figure out things, it's pretty intense coursework.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
And do you think that's the major difference, like the coursework, because you also studied in India and then here in US, it's more practical based here in US compared to what we learn in India?
I think so. I think that was the major difference. When I originally came to the US, that's something that I struggled with a lot, because like the system in India is different, but it also has its advantages. Like my theoretical and fundamental understanding of concepts was far better than anyone because of like the capacity at which I could absorb information. Like sabko pata hai, like you absorb all this information for like your semester tests and weekly tests and what not, different types of tests in college. But all this was kind of like not relevant when it came here. When you come here to kind of study, they don't care about what's written in the textbook. Like if you go to a professor and tell him that my answer is correct because it's in the textbook, like they care zero, absolutely, like
Yeah.
nothing. They want to know why you think. They want to know like the thought process between why you think it's right. As long as you can justify that, you need to have like rationale and reasoning and all of like these interpersonal skills, which isn't really a focus, I want to say, in India at the moment. Like at least I had one class called personality development.
Yeah, I
I'm
remember
pretty
that.
sure everyone
Yeah.
so it was sort of like moral, I don't even know what it was, like moral science put together with resume building and whatnot.
I know, yeah.
But that's it. That's all the like the personality based education that we got. And here you just like come in and you're expected to like justify your answers, and we're just like looking blank. We're like, okay, like how do you do this? So
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point you mentioned, Salon, and it kind of gives us a segue into what the video I made previously, or the part that I talked about, like skills, skills other than your academic skills or academic background, what you can build on top of that, which makes you a better candidate, I guess, if you're planning to study abroad. So first, let's start with why would you recommend students to come abroad for their studies?
absolutely. So I think this can kind of be twofold. If someone is looking to just get a different perspective, staying within your country, whether it's India or whatever your home country is, you don't know what's really out there. When you step out of your comfort zone into another country, you really get to see the struggles that other people have, the differences in culture, the differences in habits, and how like your field is advancing in other countries and on a global scale. So it makes you like broaden your perspective. So if you're like just looking to get that perspective and get a bigger understanding of how you can help the community or the society with the skills that you have, studying abroad is a fantastic journey. The other thing is like obviously studying in the US or Canada comes with some facilities and labs and just practical experience that you may not necessarily get at the moment in your home country. So I think that's also something that could be considered, that practical exposure, just to get more hands-on experience.
So, Saloni, what are certain skills which you said, in addition to your academic, what are some personal skills which you would recommend students have or develop over time if they are, planning to study abroad, or just skills a study abroad aspirant should develop?
Sure. So I think the skills kind of like vary depending on what level of your education you're in. Like a high school student would be expected to have a certain skill set, which is different from a prospective PhD student. But in general, I think you should have certain practical and hands-on experience that shows that you have taken a proactive interest in actually trying to pursue your passion. For example, if you're interested in computer science, you need to go out of your way and do hackathons and do coding and like work on these projects. Or if you're interested in biology or becoming a doctor, you need to go shadow a doctor or work on these mini projects, no matter how small they are, which shows that you've gone out of your way. It wasn't a part of any syllabus, it wasn't a part of your school, and you went there because you wanted to. I think this is something that Ivy Leagues really appreciate. It shows that a student is driven and a student doesn't need that push to do what they actually want to. And then the second half of this, I think, comes with interpersonal skills, which a lot of people don't realize. I mean, there are skills that every single person probably already has in them, whether it's music, whether it's sports. I was a very proactive sports person. I played every single outdoor sport possible. So you just have to kind of like focus on that. There's so many students that treat them as hobbies, and all these hobbies are really important skills that you have developed. And communication, leadership skills, all this adds a touch to the personality of who an Ivy League is potentially trying to accept. And this is what makes you a person. Like they're not looking at just scores, so that's a big misconception that people have. So all these skills put together definitely make a good candidate.
Yeah. So, like Saloni said, they are not only looking for scores, and that is why there are some other skills which you need to have. And I completely agree with you. It's a misconception. I think I also had a feeling or thought process before I started applying that, you just need to have a very good GPA. So, like, you studied in two Ivy League colleges, and do you think like just focusing on your GPA is just the most important thing, or would you recommend the viewers to try or develop or work more on their hobbies, like you said, because we tend to do it as an hobby. We don't try to take it seriously because we always focus on just doing well in your academics. So, do you think that
Yeah.
this is something they should go ahead and pursue on it?
Absolutely. So I think like I don't want this to be a justification that I was focusing on my hobbies. That's why I couldn't perform
Sure.
well in my test, right? So that shouldn't be the case. But if someone has, let's say, an 80 or an 85 percentage score, they shouldn't just focus on pulling that to 95 or 100. That's not going to make too much of a difference. Then I'd say yes, they need to focus on building their interpersonal profile and their skill set. So like for example, I scored 88% in my 10th board, and I scored 80% in my 12th board, ICSE. So all like my scores, I feel like they're very average. I wasn't even the top 3 in my class. I was pretty satisfied with what I scored, because I'm like, it's fine. It's what I want to do, and I focused on so many other things. So I think that's like the mindset. Like obviously you can be failing all the classes and then justify that I have excellent extracurricular activities, so you should accept me. But a good balance to maintain between both of those things is a good idea.
Yeah. And like I previously mentioned, I think time management is one of the skills which you should have, in my opinion, because there are, like you said, when I noticed when we study abroad, there are a lot of things which we need to do other than your academic studies. Just like it's not just studying. You have so many group activities, you need to participate in a lot of events, and you can't be like, no, I don't want to do that because I want to study. So I think time management is one of the skills which you can kind of develop or try to manage your time better, because I don't have enough time is sort of an excuse. I get it. We no Nobody has enough time to do all of the things, but if we try to manage, then we can try to squeeze in some things which might help you to make your profile better. So it's one of the important things, I think. Yeah, I totally agree with
For sure. And you know, the important thing is, if someone is a student who's trying to think of studying abroad, you should be able to list 10 to 15 different things about you which are extracurricular and non-academic based. If you can't list those 10 to 15 things, then like that's a problem. Like that shows that, you know, you haven't taken time out for yourself. So this whole journey of going to school and studying wherever in the world, it also is shaping your personality as a person. So you need to give time for yourself, whether it's to maintain a healthy lifestyle or go and do something that you like, or just take a break and relax. It needs to be something where you're spending time for yourself, and that's how you just build those skills. You don't have to like specifically go out of the way to learn how to play the violin so that you can put it on a piece of paper.
Sure. Yes. That's a very good example, and I completely agree with you. So, what are some of the skills, which you think students should have if they are planning to study and then work abroad, or just, they're coming from somewhere to work abroad? So, are there certain skill sets which they can work on or they need in the work environment? Because work environment is totally different from when you're studying in the university. You have to interact with a lot of people. You need to have good networks. So, are there any suggestions or tips for students who would like to work?
Absolutely. So I think research is a skill that can be very easily built on no matter where you are in the world. It's very important that you stay up to date with the most recent advancements in your field, whatever that may be. So learning how to go through, research papers and do literature surveys, extracting information and presenting that information in such a way that you're able to summarize it and also kind of put forth your idea as to how this can be taken forward is a huge skill to have. This kind of takes into account communication, presentation, teamwork, leadership. All these skills are put together by just doing this one activity. So that's an important one. Other than that, I think getting as much as practical experience as you can, whether it's through paid or unpaid internships. I know as like a high school and undergrad student, at least, you can't be really picky about the work experience that you get. I've spent so many hours just giving free work because it's me who needed the experience and not the other way around. So whatever small like experience that you can get, whether it's just shadowing someone. I know when I was in like my second year of undergrad, I had these floating thoughts of quitting biomedical engineering because I thought it was pretty boring. So that summer I spent I spent about 2 months just shadowing, literally just shadowing. My job was just to walk around with one of the biomedical engineers who worked at a hospital, just to see what the day-to-day work would look like after I graduated and got a job. And that kind of put me back on track. I'm like, yeah, this seems really cool and I want to do that. So, like these things, just like shadowing and trying to understand more about your field is something that, you should be able to work on. And like the last thing I would like to say is, this isn't considered really important in other countries, but really work on your community and society skills. Like at the end of the day, your goal as a person is to give back to the community with the skill set that you study and develop. So you need to kind of help the community, be nice, go into your society, see how you can, be helpful to them, and actually do those things. That plays a huge role in shaping you as a person. Also, like includes all of those like nice skills to put on your application when you're applying to colleges abroad as well.
I think you put it beautifully that you need to, in the end, give back to the community. So it's very important that you get more involved. Yeah, definitely. And I think networking is also very important. You need to communicate well. You need to form some networks, because in the end that is going to help you. You need letter of recommendations, you need references. So if you have a good network, then it helps you to get jobs easily, or just have a good network which will help you not only in your career but just in your life as well. I completely agree.
Absolutely. And I think like the one last thing that I'd like to add is, in this last 1 year during the pandemic, we've gotten more used to doing everything online. So I think a skill that a lot of people, including me, had to work on was writing emails. Whether you're writing emails for your professors, to reach out to people, to network, you need to be so good at writing emails because it's the way that you're communicating to them. You're not going to meet them in person. So, you really need to like develop those interpersonal skills so that you can kind of like put forth your opinion as well as back it up in a sufficient manner.
Kate Saloni, thank you so much. That was very valuable addition to what I previously said, and your experience definitely will help other students. So, Saloni, thank you so much. It was pleasure having you, and thank you so much for sharing all your experience.
Thank you for having me, Shweta. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that was some really good advice by Saloni. I hope this video and our conversation gives you an idea and different perspective on planning for study abroad. I'll definitely try to do another video with Saloni where we'll talk in more details about her journey and more about biomedical engineering. Until then, go ahead and check out her channel. She has some amazing content on studying abroad, and also don't forget to subscribe to her channel. So I think that's it from this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it, and please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.